You know, I have done literally nothing productive all day except jam out to this music. And apparently drop my phone onto my keyboard. Oh my god, I don't know what I just hit. Xbox Social? Go away. All of you? What just happened? My name is Sage Blake. I'm a wanderer, storyteller, artist and mature, and this time on Indie Stars, the last video that I hopefully have to record, because oh my god. For whatever reason, this and Dunker have just been some of the most cursed recordings that I've ever had to do. Because it's like, oh hey, guess what? Suddenly you're stupid, Blake. Everything you do just disintegrates into nothing. And unfortunately, the footage for this game is no exception. But more importantly, this is Prototype N, part of Indie Stars. What is Indie Stars? To put it bluntly, a group of developers decided to get together and signal boost one another, specifically because their projects are, well, really good, and ended up being pushed to the wayside because of so many other entries in the Sonic Adventure Games Expo. And with the coming of Expo 2021 in, like, August, oh boy, I am going to be a busy raccoon. I might actually have to, like, tweak my streaming schedule just to incorporate more entries of Indie Stars. But that aside, actually, I just remembered. Okay, so I have this, thing where before I end up starting a game, I end up starting PS4. And I just remembered that this game supports controllers natively. And doesn't require DS4. Oh, sweet gods. Thank you. Actually, I've run into a few different issues where, while I'm running DS4, inputs tend to get a little muddled, and as a result, malfunction and derp, and suddenly my ability to parkour just, goes out the window. But anyway, Prototype N is... how should I put this? Kind of a mix between Mega Man and also Gunstar Heroes in respects. And I'm specifically referring to, the GBA Gunstar Heroes with the separate weapons and everything for that. In terms of your controls, it's a fairly standard, it's a 3-button-ish game. You get a move button, you get a shoot button, you get a slide button. The slide can also be used to take down enemies, or otherwise just damage them. And other than that, you get a few different weapons that you get to discover within stages and use to help take enemies down a little faster. The first of which we obtained is remote missiles. After firing it out, you can tilt up and down on the D-pad in order to guide the missile up and down in that direction. It accelerates automatically, and if you use it in the air, then it propels you backward a little. So be careful about when you decide to use it. The flame chip here allows you to throw out a jet of fire that continually damages enemies at a short range. It also burns wooden structures, like these logs here. And you might have noticed that I took down the enemy up here. If you let the bomb fall, that also counts as something with a fire property, so it would also burn these. Kind of cool, honestly, that certain enemies can interact with the environment that way. Cluster bombs are our third out of, like, 6 different power-ups in the game. They can be aimed in 3 different arcs, and upon hitting a surface, they explode, and detonate into a couple shots that travel to the left and right. Very useful for hitting enemies in awkward positions, or otherwise trying to get a jump on them. But its damage output ain't that great if the bomb is the one to not collide with the enemy. As you can see here, it's taking several explosions just to chip down that turtle. Stages within this game have 3 pickups within them that are like little data terminals. And other than that, your only other objective within a stage, well, objectives, sorry, are to clear the stage and also to meet the challenge score. You can meet the challenge score by picking up gems, clearing the level quickly, and defeating enemies. Be warned, if you die, you drop all of the gems that you picked up along the way. And if you happen to hit a checkpoint, then say goodbye to your attempt at the challenge score. Then again, if you don't die, the challenge score isn't that hard to hit. Our enemy variety is fairly standard here. Basic turtles that don't exactly do anything, armored turtles that fire off lasers after a short delay. There are turrets, there are a whole bunch of enemies, honestly. These things are the most annoying because they just barely manage to tip you with their laser shot. And because of the way that they stick to walls, they can be fairly annoying to shoot, too. Oh, try again. Usually I end up trying to avoid them or otherwise take them out quickly. If you're lucky, maybe you can hit them with a whole bunch of cluster charges, but good luck. This is a nice tutorial room to show you how the breakable platforms look and work. And you're going to be encountering more of them within this particular half of the stage. Case in point. You can jump a little further, usually by sliding after a jump. This is by sliding before a jump. Make sure to take advantage of it. Oop! You won't exactly need it here, but you might later on. Also, picking up a weapon chip that you already have equipped will instead give you a small amount of weapon earned. Nice detail. Helps you incentivize using the weapons more often than not. Try again. You could also rapid fire like this with the basic shots just by holding the button. Really nice for someone like me with arthritis. Don't get me wrong, I like mashing, and I regularly do a lot of mashing. But at the same rate, it's just nice to have a quality of life option like that, you know? And jump through here. The health ain't looking that good. Probably gonna have to play safe for low. Great. Bees. Crap! These hives are fairly annoying because they just constantly spawn bees. The bees themselves are weak, but they move fairly quickly and can be very annoying if they stick around for too long. Ow. Fortunately, cluster bombs are very good at taking out the hives if you can get a good position. Case in point. Crap. Might need that. Don't really need the flame chip, but honestly, I'll take it. And fortunately, we're not going to be meeting the challenge score this time. But rest assured, I have gotten the challenge scores on every single level in this game. You don't get a reward for it, really. Kind of disappointing, but then again, this is a demo, so what'd you expect? Bit of artwork? Well, actually, kind of. And heading back into the stage for a little bit, there was a branching path here that should be shown off. Because this branch in the path is distinctly different. You would think that for a normal branch in the path, that the item that you're picking up to end the stage would be in about the same position, but as it turns out, not so much. And B. Bad B. Oh, god damn it. Well, this is awkward. Now I gotta actually fight this thing regularly. There we go. As you can see here, a separate room with a bridge. It's kind of nice that every stage has its own slightly different objective like that. Also, yes, I'm very well aware that we couldn't beat the challenge score. And as a note, I don't think it's possible to reach the challenge score if you take the upper pathway. And now we get to the last stage in the demo, the hardest and, honestly, the most fun. Part of it is also because of the music. Part of it is because of the enemy selection here. And just the general things that you end up having to do in this stage. There's all this molten metal everywhere that will constantly damage you if you end up touching it. And at that, a couple of the enemies in here, when you defeat them, will also start to spew out that molten metal that sticks around for a little bit and continually damages you. A persistent hazard that's really, really cool. There are also these metal blocks in places that can only be destroyed by explosive weaponry, specifically cluster bombs and remote missiles. At that, you might be tempted to think that this whole branching pathway of falling blocks here is essentially one and done. You can only pick up the health in this weapon here, or this weapon canister, and also the bonus collectible. But as it turns out, the door brings you up all the way to the top, and you can just go down a second time and re-experience the magic of everything else. This is also how we can get the additional weapon, Bolt Strike. And for a little demo, Bolt Strike is a screen nuke. Damages all enemies on screen for a drastic amount, but it also uses quite a bit of weapon energy. Make sure you're being careful about when and where you use it, otherwise you'll find yourself running out of energy really quickly. Even then, I kinda don't really use it. It's a little on the impractical side, if that makes sense. And for our... I believe this is the last weapon that we can get within this demo, twin lasers. Don't get me wrong, I like these types of weapons that just fire out a shot that rebounds all over the place and makes for some really great trick shots. It's heavily underutilized in this stage, and part of the reason is that these lasers don't exactly bounce off of conveyor belts. If they did, I would have a lot more uses for it, but as is, what the heck? Okay, they bounce really weirdly on conveyor belts, I guess. What? Because, like, this one, it kind of just doesn't work? Yeah, it seems to work only on the flat parts of the conveyor belts and not the sloped parts, which is a disappointment, because that'd be part of the reason why I'd use it in the first place. Make for a whole bunch of tricky shots like that. I understand why, considering it'd be somewhat difficult to code, but hey. What? Okay, that enemy right there can only be destroyed by explosive projectiles or Bolt Strike. But normally it's supposed to be on this platform that I'm standing on and be a persistent hazard for you to constantly jump over while you're waiting for a block to fall into the molten abyss here, so you can slide it. It glitched. It's not supposed to do that! Oh crap. But yeah, without an explosive weapon, these Rinkas are just persistent hazards that you're going to have to avoid. Ow. There's a bit of a branch in the pathway here. If you go to the right, you'll immediately get your last pickup, provided you don't fall into the ring. Otherwise, you can go to the left for some gems, some weapon energy, a parkour challenge over here, which isn't that hard, all things considered. And then you move on your way. Some of these metal blocks contain gems, others contain health or even weapon pickups. And again, you need an explosive weapon to get through them. But other than that, my total thoughts on this project, it's really interesting. I can't wait to see how they approach stages. Considering that it seems like each stage is almost like its own separate act. It'd be nice if there were some harder enemy challenges, maybe some more weapon variety, but I can see this developing into a really interesting game. But with all things settled, I think it's about time I return to the void. Then again, なるけどね。